So it is the morning of September 30th, the last day of the month. And here on the last day of the month, we can now officially say that Nintendo, for the first time in 8 years, will not be having a traditional Nintendo Direct in the month of September. All things considered, this is a really crazy stat because a September Direct has been one of the most reliable things we can expect from Nintendo for the entirety of the Nintendo Switch's life. Again, this goes back 8 consecutive years. It's been a crazy streak they've been on. And just in my opinion, more often than not, a September Direct has been one of the more successful or exciting Nintendo Directs we tend to see throughout the year. And I've explained the reason why I think so in the past, which has to do with the fact that September is a great way and a great time to both prime and hype up your upcoming holiday games for that year, as well as potentially setting up whatever might be coming the following year. Because as crazy as it sounds, with October starting tomorrow, which my brain can barely even process, with October starting tomorrow, you're only a few months away from the end of the year and the beginning of the next year. So in the next 6 months, we're going to be a quarter of the way through 2025. And so in a world where they chose to have a Nintendo Direct in September of 2024, we might have been getting a glimpse into what would be happening in 2025. But of course, 2024 is a very strange, different year because we know the Switch is coming to the end of its life and the Switch 2 is somewhere around the corner. So the real question is, does it mean anything substantial that Nintendo has chosen not to give us a Nintendo Direct in September of 2024, given the nature of the Switch and the Switch 2 and this kind of weird transitional phase I think we all feel that we're in? And my personal perspective is yes, I do think this does mean something. Obviously, with the next generation looming, I feel like it's all tied to itself. And part of this conversation is the fact that a lot of people have been spreading what I kind of believed were false rumors and false leaks about a September Nintendo Direct. I made my own predictions on why I, as a fan, thought September might have a Switch 2 reveal. But there have been other people kind of peddling stuff that they should have known wasn't real, falling for traps, trying to get attention and spread messages online, when in truth there really wasn't enough to go on to believe that stuff. And now that September is over, we know that that's true. Will something happen in October? Maybe. I kind of think there's a good chance. But there's no way to know until Nintendo decides to tell us. By the way, I want to just quickly mention that I've been doing this YouTube thing for a long time, over 10 years, and I'm currently on a very long, slow goal to try to cross 30,000 subscribers. Something I would like to do by maybe summer next year, let's say, in 2025. So if you're new to the channel, if you like what I'm doing, you're not subscribed, I hope you consider subscribing to help me cross that milestone sometime soon. So what do we know about 2025 when it comes to Nintendo? The only thing we really know is, luckily, my favorite topic in the entire world of gaming is Metroid Prime 4 Beyond currently is slated for a 2025 release year. There's no specific date. We're waiting for a lot more information, a lot more trailers and gameplay, and solid details about that game. One of them is the hard date. Right now, 2025 is just a target window year. And as I've discussed before, even though I don't think the game will slip to 2026, technically, with the vague year at hand, it's possible. We just have to be prepared for the small possibility that that game might not be ready to release next year. And of course, that could have something to do with the next generation. I mean, I've talked ad nauseum in the past about how I feel Metroid Prime 4 and the next generation Switch 2 are tied together in some way. Even before we saw the reveal of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond in June this year, I was believing that, and I still believe it now that we've seen the game. And I think the only other thing we can say from Nintendo, we kind of know about 2025, and this is something I do not follow or know anything concrete about, but it's that new Pokemon game that was revealed, I don't know, several months ago. I think it's called Pokemon AZ. So if I get any of that stuff wrong, feel free to laugh at me. I have nothing against Pokemon. I just don't follow it. I don't play it. I don't know anything about it. But I know that game was revealed. It's some kind of, I think, change to the series, possibly. An exciting game, I think, for a lot of Pokemon fans, which is great. And that game is clearly not coming out this year. I think it's slated for 2025, right? So Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Pokemon AZ, or maybe it's ZA. Good lord, I'm gonna have to look it up. Okay, I'm glad that I googled it. It is Pokemon ZA, so save your comments. You don't have to yell at me for getting it wrong. I don't know why I thought it was AZ. So Pokemon ZA. So Metroid Prime 4, Pokemon ZA. Those are the two games we know from Nintendo to expect in 2025 currently. So let's get back to the Nintendo Direct conversation, though, because that's the real point of this. Nintendo has chosen, for the first time in 8 years, not to give us a September Nintendo Direct. Why? Why would they do that? And I think it's obvious. I alluded to it at the beginning. I think with the next generation coming, they've already told us the reveal of the Switch 2 will happen between now and March next year. I personally believe, and this is not a rumor, this is not a leak, this is how you do this, in my opinion, the safe way on YouTube. This is just my guess. I'm just a fan who has a YouTube channel. Yes, I know things and I hear things, but this isn't based on any of that. Me as a fan, I think and believe we will hear about and see the Switch 2 in 2024. So before the new year, before 2025, we're going to get some kind of confirmation and hopefully just see the darn thing revealed. So with no Nintendo Direct in September for the first time in 8 years, I think the reveal of the Switch 2 is imminent. I am guessing that it will happen in October, which again starts tomorrow. And so if that's their plan, then they decided to let September come and go. They clearly wanted to get Zelda Echoes of Wisdom out, which just released last week. I've been playing it. I'm very much enjoying it. I think that was their last big game they want out before revealing the Switch 2. I know there's a Mario and Luigi game coming soon. There is a Mario Party game coming soon. But I am willing to bet that Nintendo is less worried about the Switch 2 reveal taking the wind out of those games' sales than they were about Zelda. So those games, I think, can come and release and do their thing and be successful and exciting for people, while at the same time, Nintendo can have revealed the Switch 2, hopefully in October, again, per my guess, and everything can coexist and we can get excited about the next generation, but especially if the Switch 2 is backwards compatible, people who want to play those two Mario games will still buy those Mario games because those games will play on their Switch, and if they want, they could transfer to the Switch 2. Everyone will be even more excited about Nintendo stuff because we will have seen the Switch 2, and I think everybody wins if Nintendo chooses to do that. I also think it's worth noting, in a year where we haven't seen a September Nintendo Direct, that it's also the year where Switch sales are really slowing to a crawl, which of course is not a negative. I know the very sensitive Nintendo Defender fans, and I understand it because look, Nintendo's my favorite company too, but some of the more defensive folks who love Nintendo out there won't want to hear or acknowledge the very notion of Switch sales being slow and not being great. And look, man, 2 million per quarter, 2 to 3 million per quarter over the last couple of quarters. It's not that that's bad in its own bubble, but when you look at the trajectory of sales and the heights the Switch has met in the past, the trending line is down. And the way a trending line going down looks is that it continues to go more and more down. That's the thing I think people forget. It'll be interesting to see if the Zelda Switch Lite from last week makes any sort of significant impact in rise in sales. I don't know that it will, and if it does, I think it'll be very small anyway. So the point is, 2024 saw the biggest decline in sales and Nintendo not able to meet their projections for Switch hardware, and it's because there's less brand new exciting games releasing, and because we all know the Switch 2 is coming soon. And so this is all good, this is all fine, this is all normal, nothing bad is happening. This isn't a way to say that Nintendo is a sinking ship, the way some extreme defenders will react to statements like this. It's normal business, man. It's the life cycle of any console, even the insanely successful Nintendo Switch. It was always going to eventually start to fade and go away. And in like 4 years, no one will be playing on a Switch. Nintendo will probably not be making Switches in 4 or 5 years. They're only going to be making Switch 2s, and that's fine. In fact, it makes me excited because I love my Switch. I'm playing it right now with Zelda, but let me tell you how serious I am when I say I cannot wait to move on to the Switch 2 and not have to deal with my current outdated 2017 Switch ever again. And so the point of that kind of diatribe about the slowing Switch sales is that when you combine the slowing Switch sales and the trending downward line of sales, and you combine the lack of Nintendo Direct in September, you combine the incoming reveal of the Nintendo Switch 2, I think it all makes sense, and it explains why Nintendo probably chose not to hold a September Nintendo Direct. If we didn't know the Switch 2 was coming, and if sales for the Switch have remained obscenely strong this year, I feel like Nintendo would have found a way to give us a September Direct and talk about the newly released Zelda, or they would have probably done it before Zelda released, if I'm being honest. They would have done more information about Zelda. They would have focused a lot on Mario and Luigi and Mario Party. There's probably one other weird, small, last generation port they might be sitting on that they probably would have talked about. Featured a bunch of indie games, and maybe they would have talked about Metroid Prime 4 a little bit more. Probably not, because I think they're waiting for Switch 2 reveal to do that, but mathematically, it would have been possible, if this makes sense. If they had given us a September Direct after revealing Prime 4 in June, mathematically it's possible, with the small pool of games they would have to even talk about, that they would have squeezed in another 60-second teaser of some extra footage about Metroid Prime 4. I don't know. I'm speculating about something that never happened, so it's almost not worth going any deeper, but the point is, they didn't do it. They didn't do it, and it's because slow sales were ready for the Switch 2, and I think the Switch 2 reveal is coming soon. If the Switch 2 reveal wasn't relatively soon, in my opinion, I think they would have had that September Direct. And so I just feel all of the breadcrumbs have been laid, and I think that the Switch 2 reveal is coming. And so I said it at the beginning, I'll say it again. Great chance it happens in October. So the only thing I'll say, the last thought I'm going to leave you with is, if we don't get the Switch 2 reveal in October, things get a little bit different. And it's not crazy for them to just, shake things up and do things differently. Precedents are precedents until they're broken. And a September Direct was a precedent for 8 years until Nintendo broke it. So we can say Nintendo always does things these ways, and these are the only ways they're ever going to do it, but that's not true. Nintendo or any company in any industry can change the own precedent that they've set at any time. So it wouldn't be normal to expect a new generation reveal in November or December, but Nintendo can choose to do that if they want. I don't know that I would think that they will. I feel like October is most likely, and if they don't do it in October, I kind of start to wonder if they're going to wait till January, and wait till the new year. Again, I'm not removing November or December from my own personal prediction, but I just feel like my next best guess would be that they would wait till the following year. But also, I don't know, man, because by every passing week, I'm kind of updating how I feel. It's like every passing week of no information is almost more information that allows us to guess how we feel about what's going to happen. Nintendo is the king of keeping us on our toes and keeping us on pins and needles. I personally feel like I'm on pins and needles, wondering when the Switch 2 will be revealed. I think the lack of September Direct tells us it's around the corner, which is why I think October makes the most sense. So this is what I think, man. I hope it's going to happen sometime soon. If not, it's the waiting game until they reveal it sometime before March next year.